Midweek check-in. Hi everyone, happy midweek. I just wanted to take a moment to check in with you. We're right in the middle of week 2. And this is all about self-love. And if we're being honest, this is where things can start to feel a little uncomfortable because self-love isn't just a bubble bath and affirmations and saying, I love myself and you can do hard things, which those are pretty important things. But it's being aware, it's catching the way you speak to yourself when nobody else is listening. So I want to ask you, how has your inner dialogue been lately? And especially when things are tough in the last couple days, have you been aware of how you talk to yourself? I listened to a podcast. It's the Mindset Mentor. It's Rob Dial Jr. I highly recommend it. It's worked tremendously for me. And one thing that I have really taken to heart that I've heard him say to on his podcast is he has a room full of people. So you take a room full of people and you ask them, or a room full of women specifically, I'll say, so a room full of women, and he asks them to write down within 60 seconds. He's going to set a timer for 60 seconds and he wants you to write down as many good things you can think of about yourself. And so he sits there and he waits and the timer, and you can kind of see the women, they're like hemming and hawing and they're just kind of really thinking about it, and it's just not coming to them. And the 60 seconds are up and they have a couple things on there like, I'm loving, I'm a good mom, I'm a good wife, stuff like that. So then he kind of takes a shift and he says, all right, so I'm going to set a timer and I want you to write down all of the negative things that you think about yourself or you tell yourself, or all the bad things about you. And the women can come up with all sorts of stuff, and you can see them, and they're writing these things down and they're jotting these things down, and the way that they talk to themselves, I'm ugly, or I'm fat, or, just, I don't know, all of the things that we tell ourselves. And so then after the minute is up, he stops the timer and he says, okay, so just imagine. So now I want you to imagine yourself all standing up and going into the other room, and you're going to be face to face with your sister or your mother or your daughter, or just somebody, or your grandmother, just somebody that you truly, truly love. And I want you to read that list to them, and I want you to tell that stuff to them. And and the mindset just totally shifts, and the way that they thought totally shifts. And I think that's important to think about, because we tend to say things to ourselves. I'm going a little off script, so I apologize. That's going to happen a lot. We tend to really beat ourselves up and really say some pretty terrible things to ourselves that we would never say to somebody that we love. And we would be the first ones to go after somebody for talking to somebody that we love like that. So that's that one I wanted to share with you, because that was one of the biggest aha moments that I personally had, to be able to start shifting the way that I talk to myself. Because one thing about me, and that I've worked really, really hard on, and I've actually come a long ways with this, is how I talk to myself, and how I how I treat myself, and how I believe in myself. And because once upon a time, for a very, very long time, I did say terrible things to myself, and I did feel terrible things about myself. I had terrible confidence. I really really, really, really didn't believe that I deserved anything good, that anything that, unfortunate in my life that happened, I kind of believed that I deserved it, or that it was my fault, or because I am this, or because I did this, then um then I deserve to have these things happen, or I deserve to feel this way, or I deserve for somebody to treat me that way. So I really feel like that's important. Once you make that mind shift, I feel like you can really start that foundation of building yourself back up brick by brick and loving yourself. But you've got to get that stuff out of there. You've got to stop talking to yourself like that. And it's going to take time. If you were like me, like it was years and years and years and years. But I promise it can happen, but you just got to be aware of those things, and you might not even know that's how you're talking to yourself until you become aware and have to really um come face to face with it. So anyway, I'm sorry. Have you noticed yourself being a little kinder? Have you noticed yourself um being more aware of how hard you've been on yourself? And both of those things are things that you can work on, and both of those things, it's a good thing, because you're taking that shift of having it at the forefront of your mind. And how do I speak to myself? How do I show up every day? And then that way you can make that shift. So I don't need perfection from you this week. I'm never going to ask you to be perfect, because nobody is perfect, and I only expect I have high expectations for you. But that's only because I believe in you, and I believe if you are here and you are watching this, I believe that you want to make a change, and I believe that you want to be happier, and I believe that you want to find that love within yourself that you spend and give to everyone else. Like, we need to start finding that within ourselves, because then you're going to show up so much more for everybody else. So, let's see. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes, because there's some things that are pretty important that I wanted to say today. All right, so I want you to remember this. Self-love is built in the small moments, the pause before you criticize yourself, or the reflection afterwards. Sometimes it's going to take a little while, and you're gonna automatically say it, or you're gonna automatically think it. But you know what? You can always take that time to reflect on what you said, and you know what? I am not this. I am, I'm better than that. Like, girl, don't talk to yourself like that. The decision to speak with a little more patience and a little more respect. So before the day ends, I want you to catch with one thought, just one, and shift it. I want you to really, really think about just one thing this week. One thing this week that you want to focus on. One thing that you can just take a little bit extra time for yourself. Even if it's just at the end of the night, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you go to bed, just talk nicely to yourself, because that to me is more important. That to me is self-care. I do love a bubble bath, and I love pedicures, and I love a good affirmation. I love all of that stuff. But the most important things of self-love is really just here, like you and here. You have to connect to these two, and you can do that anywhere. You can do it, and you can do it at any time. It doesn't have to be a set time. But you really have to start believing in yourself. And then I promise, like, the clouds will separate, and you'll really start feeling, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't have that first thought anymore of like, oh, I wish I looked prettier. I wish I looked like her, or, because I had a lot of that. I'm pretty comfortable with just being just being me, and not wishing I was anybody else. And that's a huge thing for me to say, because I spent a lot of my life wishing I was somebody else or somewhere else, or just, I don't know. Um, but then another thing that I wanted to I wrote some notes down, because I think I think it's pretty important, because my whole shift of when I personally started changing my habits around, I thought to myself, my kids are older, they're more independent, they can, but at that time, my kids were older, so if I could go for a walk, they could spend a half hour, an hour by themselves, and be okay. And I just and I thought, and I began to, I really hammered down, and I wanted to make this change, and I feel so I feel so much more at peace with myself, and I feel so much more I feel more intentional every day. I feel like I am so much better as a wife, and as a mother, and when I show up every day. But it also, I think about, it makes me a little bit sad that I waited so long. I waited until like 5 years ago. I mean, I had spurts in and out where I was pretty intentional in doing the beach body programs or whatever, but this is the longest where I've really just made it my intention every day to do something for myself, whether it's eat healthy, or whether it's um go to the gym, or go for a walk, or wash my face, or paint my nails, or take that 15 minutes at the end of the day for myself. I really wish I would have taken the time to do that before 2021, because I really feel like I could have shown up better um, sooner. I feel like maybe I could have grounded myself, or have found the strategies that I needed to take a breath, and to love myself, and to give myself grace, and to just work on all of these habits that I wish I would have changed when my kids were growing up. Um, let's see. So, and that's another thing that I wanted to say is, I think sometimes we forget that we've only done this life one time. It's only happened once. We've all only done it one time. So essentially, we're always growing up. Um, I feel it's important to take that time that is needed, that we needed to raise our babies, and we need to remember that we are someone babies, and we're still growing up, and we're still evolving, and but it's now no longer up to our parents anymore to help raise us. It's our responsibility now. So I think it's important. Sorry. I think it's important that that you, then sooner than later, that you take the time every day to ground yourself, become aware of how amazing you are, and just really start speaking to yourself with the love and admiration and affection and kindness and generosity, and all of those beautiful words and sentences and affirmations, and all of those things that I know that each one of you are saying to the people that you love. You need to start saying them to yourself. Okay? So that is what I have for you on your Wednesday. I'm pretty excited about this. I hope I want to know how everybody is doing, how everybody is feeling. And I'm sorry this is kind of long and I went on a little bit of a rant, but there was just a couple things that kind of came through my head today that I wanted to touch base on. So, all right, well, that's that. We're at 15 minutes, and if you made it till the end, thank you so much. Love ya, and happy Wednesday. I'll see you soon.